Welcome back again, you guys. Thank you for joining us. My name is. I was just gonna say my name is Adrian. My name is Warren. I'm a lender.
Hi, my name is Adrian Ornelas, and I am a real estate agent, real estate broker with Agents of Las Vegas.
And welcome back to Real Estate Ain't Easy, where we try to hit you guys up and let you guys know what there is to know about real estate here in Vegas, as well as wherever you're at and wherever you're watching, because what you watch here, you can definitely apply into your own personal situation when you're buying a house, anywhere in the United States pretty much, because the process is pretty much the same. Today, we definitely want to talk about new builds and buying new builds, because business for me has definitely been, that's where everybody's leaning towards. Builders are offering these crazy incentives to buy the house. These crazy incentives pretty much are saying, hey, buy our house, we'll get you a 2% rate, 3% rate. Crazy, unheard of stuff. But there's definitely some details behind it, and part of this episode is to let you guys know what's going on in those details, so that you're not caught blindsided. So Adrian, man, we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing new builds right now, right? And a lot of people's, it's a big contract. It's not your standard residential purchase agreement contract.
No.
It was 11 8-pagers or something.
Yep.
But every builder has their own contract, right?
Yes.
And it's tough to go through the whole thing. And I don't think any builder will let you take that contract home. Have you ever been? Before signing it,
the way that the process works doesn't go that way, which I understand.
Yeah.
But typically, you don't get to see the contract until you already set your deposit and made some type of commitment towards it, right? And
Yeah.
then they send it to you. You do get to review it, and they have the policy depending on the builder, but you really have maybe about 5-7 days to go over it.
Really go back.
Yeah, if you really want to. Obviously, they make a push for it, so you could get moving along. Having an agent to help you emphasize that part of it, where you want to obviously have your agent look through it, but you yourself also look through it. And I've had some clients where they're very diligent with that. But many times the builder itself, they're just trying to move it along as quick as they can.
Yeah.
And there's always some sense of urgency that they try to push. So I would say that people don't get enough time really to review it, and at the same time people don't really take the time to review it either. So it's really both things. But it does have so many details in the contract that most people don't understand and don't want to go over.
And I want to say that in my experience, when I do new build purchase agreements, when I read through that contract, man, it's to protect the builder. There's
100%.
no way out really for the buyer unless you really push and early on. And a lot of people don't know that. When you go into a new build and a sales rep is over there talking to you, you're thinking, oh, they're gonna help me. That's not the case, right?
No, I mean, realistically, you'll hear this a lot, but they're working for the builder, right? So that their sales rep they're working for the builder, and obviously, I would compare it the builder kind of to HR at work. A lot of times, it's not really there to protect you as an employee, but a lot of times it's actually to protect the company. And that's really what the contract states for the most part. Obviously, there's state mandated items that they'll have in there for the consumer, but it's the least part of the contract for it. I mean, and from a business perspective, obviously, the builder just wants to build as many houses as they can for a little money as they can and sell it to whoever wants to buy it. But obviously, you as a consumer, you want to watch out for whatever you can to a certain extent, right? I mean, there's really only so many builders here. And I would say, from the categories of, the builders that just build in masses versus, I don't know, like an independent small builder. It just really depends on, how long they've been doing it. Because they could be a small builder that's been doing it for many, many years, and they don't really do, say, a lot of production. So the quality of the home will probably be better just because
It's not mass produced.
Yeah, and there's craftsmanship with it and all that stuff. Their contracts will probably be somewhat similar, but definitely not. Like the builders basically get everything that they do nationwide, and then they put it all together into one to
Yeah.
really make it for everybody.
I'm pretty sure some of the viewers know like the big builders out there, Lennar, KB, Taylor Morrison, Beazer, yeah. Then and the crazy part, they all changed their names over time. Like TriPoint was another thing.
It was Party.
Yeah, and then my house was built by Pulte, but I think that's a totally. I think that's changed too.
America West
Yeah.
was purchased by Pulte, so then those kind of interchange.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it can get confusing, but
Yeah.
as far as those big builders are concerned, they all kind of operate the same way. Is
Yeah,
that
pretty
safe?
much. I mean, the
Safe
idea is the same thing. You got to
Yeah.
think about it. Like they all probably use the same attorneys to set those up, and that's what they do.
Do you know any builders in town that are on smaller scale?
Smaller scale, Signature Homes.
Okay.
That's a local one. They've been here for a long time. I would say anything that I've come across that they build, to me, the quality feels good.
Yeah.
The layouts, all that stuff definitely feels, and their prices are pretty much in line with everything else. So much that a lot of what they actually build is mostly, I guess, like higher end homes. But they'll get some communities where they try to make it for starter homes or
Those houses over in Ascaya, like are those aren't Lennar homes, right?
No. Those, I mean, those are
Custom, is all
so,
custom
so
built?
there's I don't know if they're custom home builders. I think per se they used to, right? But when they buy such a development like that, where the idea is to just build as many, obviously on the higher end, when people have millions of dollars to put into their home, there isn't as many restrictions that the builder themselves put.
Wow.
So then it does make it more custom, right? As opposed to you going to KB and Beazer and any of those, Lennar, like they'll have like A, B, C, and D option, but
Yeah.
but that's it.
Okay.
Now up there it's Blue Heron. I think I'm saying that right. And what else? I forget the name of
Is
the
it
other one.
Christopher Homes? Is that builder? Or is that a
Yes. So that's
Okay.
so that's also so you have the variations of those three, but I think all the communities are basically if you have one community, that's the entire builder there. So I don't think they're interchanged there.
Okay.
Even though I'm sure they probably would. I mean, all they do is just get the piece of land, and
Yeah.
because that's essentially when you're going there, which is, I guess, the same as if you're going to KB and you're buying the lot, but essentially when you're going there, if you're already have a budget of $5 million or something, you're gonna pay
Must be nice.
$1 million for the lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
Not
and
including
then they
the
start
house.
building.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Crazy.
it's a whole different world.
Yeah. All right. So let's say I'm your typical buyer. I do end up going into a new build. Let's just any of the 5 big ones, but let's just do Lennar, right?
Okay.
Let's say I walk into Lennar. I signed a purchase agreement, and what's next after that? Like, tell me about that.
After the purchase agreement.
Yeah, after I signed that purchase agreement.
Well, essentially, it depends on what phase of the actual construction process it is. So there's different options. So some people, the best deals, and when you see the advertised interest rate, most of the times is not going to be for the lot that you want. Most of the times it's going to be for what they have
What's
ready
already-
to go
yeah,
out,
right.
and it's very explicit
Standing
on
inventory.
their notes for
Yeah.
it that if you're going to get a 1.99 or a 299 from whichever one it is, it's not going to be on the corner lot that's
The
way
end of the
out there that
cul-de-sac.
hasn't even known.
Yeah.
So they're going through their map, and they call it releasing lots, and they're releasing as it goes, and so then you're just kind of waiting to see. And so if you don't want a particular lot that they have available, then you'll have to wait it out, or you're gonna have to pay the premium for that particular lot, right? So let's just put that in
Okay,
context
okay.
of where it's at. So say theoretically you're going in there, you want to say, hey, I want that 299 that was out there in the billboard, and the guy was swinging the thing. That's what I want.
All right.
And so they're gonna say, okay, well, this is what we have. This is the options that it already comes with, and the reason because it's on sale or whatever is because
You need to
it's
move
already
it.
set,
Yeah.
right? And they call those are spec homes. which I mean, honestly, it's a great deal, but that's most of the times what you see advertising.
So
we're all trying to sell.
So that, to take advantage of those really low interest rates, this is standing inventory. The house is already built, right?
Not always. It's in a phase where, so the builder is obviously doing everything ahead of time as much as it can. But they have realistically two different pricings for when they're releasing those lots. So so for example, say that particular week they're going to release 6 lots. Now, if they have a list of people that are interested in it, ideally they would rather build you that home however you want it, because you're going to pay more for that home. Now, if they have to continue their schedule and their calendar of building, because they don't stop necessarily, like if they don't really have anybody for it, but they'll build. So say 4 lots, they only got one person to actually commit to the lot from from the ground up, right? And the other 3 are kind of floating, and there's nothing. So then they'll start actually building with some options that they'll know probably will sell. And so now you have 1 home that's already under contract, and you have 3 that they need to get going. And so then, but now you go into the second phase, and that already passed, and now you go into those already sold, et cetera, whatever, and then you're able to catch like the lot that you want. Just it so happens that they released it. Then you could start from that point there.
You're mentioning phases, and this is something I'm not familiar with. When is it more lucrative to buy in phase 1 or 3, or whatever the last phase is?
Yeah.
Like, which one is more lucrative?
It just depends. So when one of the things that and I think people understand that once they go there and they to start kind of thinking about it, but in the big picture of everything, obviously the builder doesn't build best lots go first, and then we'll leave the worst for last. Typically, they know that if they leave the best lots for last, it's gonna get them more money, because typically they'll start pricing it out, right? So
they would purposely build the let's say they have a phase on the cul-de-sac, and the end of the cul-de-sac, arguably they'll have the highest square footage as far as their lot is concerned. Those, let's just say it's 2 houses at the end of the lot. They'll purposely build those last so that they can make get the most money out of it.
Yeah,
makes sense. But
it makes sense. But it's just one of those things that you have to kind of consider. And sometimes once you learn that, right, and then you start seeing, because they'll have a map and you'll see it, and so then typically the question is like, hey, when's this one going to be available? So then then that's when you start kind of seeing if you measure it, and then hopefully you actually get a chance to get it. So that's why they actually build an interest list based on a lot of that stuff, because people do go, okay, well, I want to see if I could park my RV in that particular lot, and it might be maybe 4 or 5 lots that have that option. So then not on top of that, you're also going to pay a lot premium. So just say the community starts at 500, lot 1, 2, 3, right? Typically those are going to be on the entrance of the community. As the community starts building out, it starts going out into the outskirts or deeper into the community. So typically, obviously, if you're at the beginning of the community, you had more traffic.
You mentioned lot premium. Is that lot premium negotiable? Can you get a wait?
It depends on the market. Depends on the market. It depends on the market. Just I think it's just like anything else. So you could always try. But it just depends on the builder. But if you have 2-3 people behind you, they're gonna make it difficult. I mean, I'll give you a comparison. I wanted a particular lot and I know this because this happened to me. I've only ever bought one new construction home, and I looked at the thing that they had, and I was like, I want that one, because the RV thing I just said, right? I don't have an RV. I don't have a boat, but I was like, that's very useful, and it's good for resale purposes. And so I was like, I want that lot. And so the homes at the beginning, it was a different market. So March 2022 is when the community technically opened. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna wait. And so if you remember March 2022, interest rates went from 3% to 3.5 to 3.75 to 4%. And all of a sudden I was like, what's happening? So when the interest rates hit 5.5, almost 6% by April, their market was gone. So then I had already kind of made a commitment to them that I wanted that particular lot, and I was going to wait for it.
Did you lock the rate then? at that time?
No. So because you couldn't until they made the
built the
lot
house,
available,
yeah.
right? Because they're releasing
Needs
the
an
lot.
address, yeah.
So then I couldn't lock anything prior to that. But the people at the beginning, so the market was hot because
Yeah.
everybody's trying to get to it. I'm sure that person maybe got I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what rate they got, but I know that for that lot that had less square footage than mine, similar home, etc., right, but didn't have that thing, they paid $527. By the time I got to my lot, and this is probably how many homes down the line? Because it wasn't a big community. Let's just say about maybe 13, 15 homes down the line, something like that. So by the time that
That's huge.
I got it, so the starting price, and people were paying over, just to give you an example of how
Yeah.
lot premium, etc., right? That lot premium would have been outrageous if the market would have been the same.
Yeah.
So that person, the first 2-3 people that bought there, $527.
Paid the premium.
I paid $512.
Yeah. No. And
But I probably got a worse rate than they did.
Yeah.
Because of the timing.
Yeah.
But the market would have been different, and I couldn't
So-
have negotiated me having not have that lot premium.
So when you say it's totally dependent on the market, like a lot of people don't understand that, right? And I want to say a lot of times you have to know the market to be able to understand these perspectives that
Yeah.
you're seeing from the builder, what the rest of the buyers are seeing, that creates that demand or lack of demand, which, you know, as a customer goes into your favor. But no, that's opening my mind to the process, man, because obviously I'm not involved in any of that.
Yeah.
I only get involved like, hey, Warren, I need to buy this house. Like, I need the money for it.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, let's say we're all further down the process and, you know, sign the contract,
Yeah.
find the lot, they're building the house.
yeah.
There's a lot involved in that process too. Tell me about that, like when the house is getting built. Like,
Yeah.
what's going through your mind?
So the builder has different phases and stages of once it's already, you know, starting to get built. Obviously, you know, they have when they're starting the foundation of it.
Yeah.
So you see how the plumbing's getting done and all that stuff. Obviously, the idea behind you, like that's why I said like we're gonna build your home, right? Because essentially they do, right? But they'll go through the phase of, you know, putting the foundation, getting the plumbing in, well, really before the foundation, and then, you know, all the stuff that comes afterwards,
Yeah.
and then start framing it. So if you're buying it, you know, basically from the ground up, or even at the stage, sometimes if that home that is gonna be a spec home that already has all the options, you'll still watch it get framed up and see the whole process.
Yeah.
You'll get to see when the plumbing goes in. You'll get to see when they start adding, you know, lines for this thing, lines for that. And so, but typically, I mean, honestly, and now they're building pretty fast. So I'll say maybe in about 4 or 5 months, it'll go from framing to completely done. And the longest part is actually the very end of it.
Wait,
Once it's already framed and
Yeah.
once it's already it has
like finishing, like-
drywall and all
Yeah.
that stuff, yeah. So the last 2-3 months,
Yeah.
you would think that it would be quicker, but those are really it's kind of the more detailed work
Yeah, yeah.
that you really want them to finish. I mean, honestly, you want them to do everything carefully,
Yeah.
but everything else is done, I'll say, fairly as quick as possible, because, you know, they don't have to be careful not to scratch this or that. I mean, they're just putting it all together.
Okay, so in the process of from foundation to framing, would you suggest getting inspections while that's happening? Because like,
So typically, it's one of those things that it's like an HGTV thing,
Yeah.
or I don't know, social media thing.
yeah,
But realistically, the builder doesn't, and there's really no home inspector that's gonna. I mean, you're gonna have to pay that home inspector a lot. Not only that, but typically home inspectors really are not construction experts.
okay,
So that part of it where you're really relying a lot of that on the county doing their job. Because those are the inspectors that go and
Yeah.
approve every phase that happens
Yeah.
as that's happening, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, the idea is that none of that passes until the
They're
inspector
built
comes in and says, right? So the protection that all of us as consumers have is that the county has inspectors that give a pass to those phases of the things that are needed. And then that's also, you know, when the reputation of the builder really matters and all that stuff. I would say, you know, structural. I mean, obviously you see some stuff online that's really bad. what I see from Arizona, what
Yeah.
I see from Texas,
Yeah.
I don't see it here, and I don't notice it, or at least I haven't. I know, there's certain parts of town where there's foundation issues from the get-go. So I don't like to take my clients there, because even if the home has, I don't know, it looks like
Yeah.
great and everything,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, that particular area has a long history of movement.
Yeah.
And so then that's why, you'll see that stuff on the news and say, hey, my house is doing this.
Yeah.
Like, just because I try to avoid those things,
Yeah.
I haven't run into something like that. So then typically that's something to consider, is really more being, and that's really one of the reasons it's good to have an agent that actually knows it.
Yeah.
So if you just moved from California and you're using an agent that just moved from California, be careful.
Yeah. No. So that's why you're working with a local realtor.
Yeah,
matters,
it makes
right?
a difference. Yeah.
And a realtor that knows the market, knows what's going on. Like you just mentioned the foundation thing. Like I remember reading an article. I could say this because I'm a lender. Lake Las Vegas, they were like, a majority of that lake isn't natural.
No,
right?
man-made.
It was man-made, and so those houses being built on that thing, sometimes you might be buying a house that's on a faulty foundation. Like,
Yeah.
across from Lake Mead, they're building. What's that? They're building on top of a mine.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I'm like radon. Like,
Yeah, all those things. Yeah, so again, right, like you're hoping that the county and the state has put enough thought into it. Now, historically, there's different parts of the country that
Yeah.
definitely there was a lot of negligence there. So, those factors do matter, because if you don't know the history of it,
you don't know what you're buying, right?
Yeah,
And that's the biggest
it
risk.
might be okay, but
Yeah, that's the biggest risk, I think, when you're buying a new build, is you don't really know the history or any, like, you're buying brand new. You don't know, you kind of don't know what you're getting yourself into, right?
Yeah.
As much as those certifications that any inspector might put, any guarantees, you hope that it doesn't happen to you, but it's always a risk, and that's ultimately the biggest risk when you're buying a new build in a new neighborhood where there really is no history. Because human error is human error, right? We're humans. We're gonna make mistakes, and if there's anything I want to say that you can count on, it's count on human error. Now, what you do as a buyer is to mitigate that, and trying to prevent those, and kind of do those inspections as best as you can. Like me personally, I'm thinking about those, and I'm looking at, if I was to buy a new build house, and I want to see the framing. I want to see that the joists, I guess, are done
everything's
correctly.
done correctly, yeah.
There's no gaps between the studs and the how would I put that? I don't know, the top part where the studs are connected to. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen videos online of these new builds. Like, bro,
Yeah,
there's a
just
stud there,
like
but then
stuff
it's
just
not even.
hanging.
Yeah, like
No.
what? Like, dude, I'm buying a new build. Let's say it's a
It's
$500,000
structure.
house. I expect that thing to be done right,
Yeah.
right? And that's not always a guarantee. Like,
Yeah.
no matter that I know that there's a warranty or whatnot. But I'm hearing like it's like pulling teeth on getting those.
It really depends on the builder, but obviously, I found at least so the one that I bought was from D.R. Horton.
Okay.
We're talking about human error. As we started living there, you notice that human error, and obviously, I'm trying to think of like how I could say this, but but I knew somebody there, right? And so
Yeah.
I was kind of putting a lot of trust in the fact that my
relationship.
friend,
Knows.
the linen. And
Yeah.
I'll say for the most part, I'll say 90% of the home was pretty awesome,
Good,
and
yeah.
little things here and there that with time I found like that's normal, like brand new resale, like it's always gonna have little things. Now big things like it just becomes a thing that even if you're the supervisor of that place, and if you ever speak to anybody that does that job, man, those guys are always stressed because they're in charge of making sure that that person does their job, that person does their job, that person does their job,
The
and then
GC.
and then just and then just spread that out by 10 or 15 houses, individually. I would say it's not an easy job because not all and then you have to manage, who knows how the
People.
mood is and all that stuff, right? To get them to actually do every single thing perfectly. Now I'm not saying that's an excuse, but long story short, the home had things later on. So for example, I was like, man, it's like one of those rooms is really hot more than the others. I was like, and it's strange. Like, why does it keep doing that? And so then I knew somebody that actually worked for the company that did the insulation for it. And it was missing so much insulation.
Ooh, like at the ceiling?
Yeah. So then I forgot like how many inches it's supposed to have it, but it had maybe about a quarter of it. But the thing was that at the front, it looked like it had all of it, but in the back, it was missing.
Like they didn't put the
It
insulation.
was missing a whole lot. So so I put in the call for it, and I told them how I figured that out or whatever, and I mean they scheduled somebody and got it done, and they got it done. I had some other issue with one of the windows. Same thing. They got somebody else like to come in, and I'll say within that span of those 2 years, in my opinion, they did a really good job with those things. The majority of the home, like there really wasn't anything else. So now that took me to consider that even if a home inspector goes and checks those out, a lot of the times I found that the reports don't really indicate that, and they don't really go that deep into the attic of it. So now like
So
how do you verify
it matters
that?
what inspector you work with too then, huh?
All of it, and at the same time, like I've also had really great home inspectors that have missed things.
Human error then, huh?
So it just goes, and so it's one of those things like the first year that you're living in the house, it's like you have to actually figure those things out yourself so that you could actually put some input into it so they could take care of it, honestly. And that's the reason that the builder has a warranty, is because they know that that's gonna happen.
Well, I think for a lot of first-time buyers, it's their first time owning a house, and they just don't know, right? They're used to the tenant life where the landlord comes in and fixes it. If the faucet is leaking, just call the landlord. Like I don't need to know how to repair it. But like when you're buying a house, you're the landlord. You're responsible for it. And you have to know how to handle it. And sometimes you want to know that the people that helped you purchase the house can still help you after your house,
back.
right? And let's talk about that. Let's say you got your house built up, inspections were good, and it's the first year of owning that house. We'll get to like the financing surprise that we'll talk about, but tell me about that. The first year.
So I tell my clients, like, just even with a resale, like, just call me anything that happens. And the reason that I operate that way, when obviously I could just be like, oh no, you definitely need to call them, because that is what needs to happen, right? But generally, the reason is because I get to know, but then I also get to go back into the contract, or just see if I could remember what exactly was covered, or what isn't. And get my experience to come and give them some feedback on it, but also to know how the builder is behaving, because then independently, like I've had to actually contact the builders afterwards and be like, hey, like what's up with this, that type of stuff. But when they don't tell me anything, I tend to find out that they don't actually take any action either. So that's why I'm like, just, you could call me anytime, text me anytime, whatever it happens, like let me know. I want to help you. So generally that's the thing. But every builder is going to tell you, well, you could call this number if this is what's going on. You could go online and put in a warranty, for et cetera, and then still at the same time, right? Like sometimes the description that you give in that might not be what's really happening, or might be what's covered. So then that's also important, right? Because if you think
knowing what's covered and what's not,
or even what to actually report, because what you think might not be exactly what is happening. So, and that's and then it's like knowledge of actually owning a home that you find out what is, what isn't. But I would say to me, it's just like anything that comes up,
Yeah.
like you want to just say it because
Yeah.
you just don't know.
Because they'll call me too.
Yeah.
Like where my AC isn't working. I'm like, sorry, dude. Like,
Yeah.
here's my guy. Like, welcome to Vegas. Your AC won't work. That's part of the cost of living here, right? It's just your AC is gonna go out, and be ready for it. And that's why air conditioning companies make a lot of money here in Vegas, because if there's one thing that's gonna go out, guaranteed, it's that AC. And
Fortunately.
it's just part of living here, right? So hopefully we take that surprise out of it. But there is another surprise that I want to talk about,
Yep.
because I've personally had to explain what's going on with the client when they buy this house. Now, when you buy a new build house, when the builder looked up, that land, that lot that it sits on, there's no house yet, and so the county is taxing it as if just a dirt lot, right? And when the builder and the mortgage company is doing the calculations on the mortgage, they're looking at the current tax rates on that lot, and because there's no house, that tax rate is really, the taxes on that lot is really low. I want to say max like 6 months, the county goes back and says, hey, we noticed this lot now has a house. Here's your new tax rate. And when that new tax rate comes up, guess what goes up? Your mortgage. And now you thought your mortgage was at this dollar amount, but because the taxes on it went up, now it's at here. And sometimes that increase is way more than comfortable for a lot of people. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, let's for starters. I mean, I think it's been a while. So because it was happening, and as the values kept increasing, because initially, right, like you buy a brand new house for $350, your taxes technically are not going to feel that heavy, but now you buy a house at $600,000, and it's double that, right? So the noticing of the perception of it. So then the builders actually had to communicate that a little harder than they were before, because I would say, after 2022, I noticed that the builders were putting more emphasis on it because of how big that was. So obviously, when they're doing the calculations for it, like you said, the taxes is going to say practically almost zero, right? Like nothing a month. But when they're doing the pre-qualification for the mortgage, they do have to include the estimated amount, which is going to be 1% of the home value.
Yeah.
Now, how many people actually listen to that and remember that that's what's going to happen, and they tell you, hey, this is going to be your payment now, but the real payment is this one. And so that gap in in the excitement and everything in for it, and that's one of those things, like reading the contract and all those things that come with it, is part of it, that people are just so excited with the brand new house, and it's typical, it's normal, like we all get happy with that, but it's one of those things that people are like, oh, like they just jump from that to that, so then they don't notice it, but it's a real thing. And in 2022 and 2023, like I would tell people, like the best deal that you could get is a brand new construction home, and part of it was because the rates were 7.5% for a regular house. It was crazy. The values had were still kind of floating, and things were still like moving. So I felt like it was a good deal. Now fast forward to now, if you take into consideration that brand new tax on that $550,000 house, even if they give you a better rate versus a house that's $500,000, that's a resale, that had the taxes assessed a long time ago, that have slow increases, like, well, now your tax difference is going to be pretty tremendous. Like, it's going to be practically double. So then, one of the things is like, so now when you look at your monthly payment and you compare both of them, though that property tax pretty much swallows everything that you're saving yourself in the interest rate. And so, now you're making an executive decision for your family, for yourself, of what's best, like that or this, depending, on the age of the house. Because if the house was built in 2015, it's not that bad.
No,
it's not the best, because the tax base on that was probably like $300,000. So then going against a $650,000 house, or I guess to stand the same number, $550. It's still a good chunk a month.
I noticed this too, because like when I'm running numbers for people who's buying over by like Lone Mountain, new builds in that area, oh my gosh, the property taxes in that area is like,
Yeah.
what?
So on top of that, then on top of the property taxes, then you also get, you know, SIDS
SID
and
and
LIDs.
LIDs, yeah.
So special improvement district. Essentially, you're paying for the infrastructure that's being built
Yeah.
around it, so the city could get water, gas,
yeah.
all that stuff
Yeah.
right into it, and that's essentially what you pay.
Yeah, you
And
got
so
to pay for
it's
that.
a premium
Yeah.
to be out there.
Yeah, and yeah, when I was first buying a house, I didn't know what SIDs were, right? And LIDs. What you know? What's the acronym for LIDs?
Man, I don't remember.
Okay, neither do I. I just said from what they told me, SIDs were like sewers. Like you want to, in order for this house to be here, they had to build the sewer for it. And if you want to flush your toilet and not having to stay there,
That was the description they gave you.
yeah, that's how like a SID is a sewer. Like the sewer had to be built,
Yeah.
and so you want to flush your toilet and not have to stink. Like you gotta pay for it. And so some houses that I was making an offer on, they didn't pay that off yet. And so it would this house. This is in 2009. Yeah, this house is like $300,000. But by the way, there's a $40,000 lid or
Yeah.
SID that you still gotta pay a monthly on top of your mortgage. I'm like,
Until it's paid.
no, I'm good. So again, when you're looking to purchase a new build, be prepared for the surprises that a lot of people don't talk about. There's a lot of realtors and even the builders, they'll advertise like, hey, buy these rates, buy these rates, buy these rates, buy this house with these rates. But they don't talk to you about what's really going on afterwards, or even during, right? And that is the purpose of this channel, is to get you guys as informed as possible as to what you're getting yourself into, whether it's resale or new build. We've experienced it all, and these are just some things that you might experience. So with that, man, like we're almost running out of time. So any last thoughts?
No, on the builder thing, I think it also depends, very much the community that you're buying in. And honestly, if I would say, the big, I guess incentive for people, like the natural incentive to be in a brand new, built home is, and then also what's sold or perceived is that it's going to have low maintenance, and you don't have to worry about the AC, you don't have to worry about the heater, those things for a few years, just in general, because you're going to have a manufacturer warranty for for the AC, manufacturer warranty for the plumbing, warranty basically for all that stuff, but it has limits. I mean, I tell you, like I have somebody that they had a new build, and the water pressure valve in the house, and the builder didn't want to cover it. Well, I say didn't, right? But maybe it's in the contract, and it says, and then after a period of time. But to me, it seemed irrational, right? Until going back to that, so you have to really make an educated decision on why you want to go into a new build versus a resale. And a lot of times, with a resale, you could get a home warranty for the same things that you would cover it. And obviously, this house is a big daunting thing because it has a huge price. But at the end of the day, any home you have, I mean, honestly, like you shouldn't have to worry about foundation if you actually made the right choice and you have the right person helping you. It shouldn't even be a question where because it's just a bad thing to get yourself into if it's already somewhere that has history of that. The second part of it, the framing. So part of the framing, obviously, your county and the county do all that, but I will say, from that context of it, hardly anywhere here in town from one of the big builders, nobody ever really deals with a lot of framing issues. Hardly ever you see like, there's movement, you'll see
plumb.
ceiling cracks, etc. But it's very minor, which is normal. So already right there, those two things, right? Like it really, I don't think it's a big deal. And then now you go into plumbing. Now, the plumbing and the new materials that are used in all these new construction homes is better than technically what it used to, because it's just made, but at the end of the day, we're going to find out in 15, 20 years how good it was. But at some point, if every resale home deals with, something like that. And so I'll say, then the plumbing that goes into it, I mean, the pipes are not like it's in the movies, where something happens, all of a sudden the whole house is flooded. Like, it's possible, but like something dramatic has to happen for that to actually occur, and then that's when your insurance covers that thing, and so there's a lot of things to it. So independent of all of that stuff, like a resale home versus a new, like location matters, I think, a lot. And so it just depends on your idea of what you want to do for the next 5 years, next 10 years. Don't buy a brand new home thinking be like, oh, and 2-3 years I'm gonna be able to sell it for twice because that happened in 2020, et cetera, et cetera. I'll say just plan your decision based on a lot of that, and then try to get a good deal so that at least you have a good hedge against whatever changes you might have coming in life, because you just never know. And then last one that I think I already said on the first one, be careful with condos, be careful with townhomes, because like if you get one of those, you're going to be married to it, in the good and the bad. You're going to have to make some checks.
Once again, know what you're getting yourself into, and that's what we're hoping to provide you guys at the end of the day, as far as real estate here in Las Vegas. So long story short, don't be scared of new builds. They build them pretty well out here in Vegas, but there are some things to keep in mind, and
a resale might be better.
Yeah,
it might be, right? I guess what I was trying to say is just they're attractive, they're appealing. But don't be afraid of a resale home, because it could have a lot of good things that you don't really have to, overthink. And it might not be better proposition than buying a brand new home. Yeah. Which I would love to go and take you, because the commission is sweet. But we could definitely just do a regular resale.
Yeah. No, and if you you guys need financing on new builds or resales, that's where I come in. So
let me ask you something, right? I know we're almost out of time, but you as a loan officer with Loan Depot, doing new construction, because I've honestly never had a regular loan officer do a loan on a new construction. So tell me how that process works.
So try to make it as short as possible. The reason I'm involved in new construction is because the builder's lender could not do that deal. The builder's lender has limitations that we might not have that allows me to do that deal. And what happens sometimes is, because the builder's lender couldn't do it and we can, we're still able to get the incentives that the builder offered in the first place, so that the buyer can get into that house and get that low interest rate that the builder was offering in the very beginning. And that is possible. The builder's lender doesn't always do a perfect job, right? And when they need a bailout and hey, here's this homeowner, they got moving vans already packed and everything, like, who can do this?
So typically you don't get to that until the very end.
Yeah, like
you hardly ever get it at the beginning.
Yeah, no, because what happens is, when you're in the new build, the builder will say, hey, you want this 2.99 interest rate? Well, you got to go with our lender, right? They also make money on the lending side too. But that's usually the catch. To get that low interest rate, you got to go with their lender. As long as that lender knows what they're doing, it'll go smoothly. But sometimes they don't. And, thankfully, I've built enough relationship, enough reputation here in the city that, like, no, call Warren. He might know how to do this.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. And it happens with all the builders. KB, D.R. Horton. I've had to save deals from a whole bunch of other builders, and it happens.
Okay. So then, at that point, I'll say, typically by the time that you get it, was already an appraisal done on the house?
Oh yeah.
So you're getting it. You're like, they were already signing at the table, and then they're like, "Hey, Warren, we can't get this done."
Yeah. No, like that. I love those situations where it's like, no, we can do it. It's just a simple rule that the builder's lender has that, like, no, sorry, we can't do this.
Yeah, it doesn't allow it. They're more restricted. Okay.
So,
all right.
But
that's good to know. I mean, it's important, because so if you already in new construction, or already in contract, and you're running into something like that, now you could call Warren.
Yeah. No, hit me up, you guys. You can find me at The Cabasa on Instagram. Send me a DM there, or hit me up. Call me on my phone, 702-545-7099. I'll answer that.
And if you're looking for a brand new construction home or rebuild and want somebody that's been here for a long time and is educated about a lot of parts of here in Las Vegas, what lots I think have a lot of potential for the future, or just if you want a new construction wherever it's at, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can find me on Instagram at Adrian O Las Vegas, or just send me a DM or text message at 702-449-6085.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Catch you on the next one.
See you later. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Adrian Ornelas. I am a real estate agent here in Las Vegas. I am the broker of Agents of Las Vegas. And I've been helping people now this year for 20 years, helping people buy and sell homes. So if you have any questions regarding any new construction or resale here in Las Vegas, or buying your very first home, don't hesitate to contact me. You can reach me at 702-449-6085, or just send me a direct message on Instagram at Adrian O Las Vegas.
Hey guys, my name is Warren. I'm with Loan Depot. I'm a mortgage lender. If you're interested in buying a new build or a resale house, I help you get the money to do that. Or if you were just curious on how much you're able to buy, I'll be able to run the numbers. You can find me on Instagram at the Cabasa, TheCabasa, and you can also hit me up on my phone, 702-545-7099. Thank you.